Comic Book Mail Call. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, comic book fan. I've got another box of comics in the mail. Don't you just love it when you buy comics and you don't even remember what you bought? I know I do. So let's open this up together, see the comic book that I got, and browse it. Here we go, ALF #1. He's back in comic book form. Yep, ALF #1 from Marvel Comics. I think predating the creation of the Star Comics imprint, which was their younger readers' imprint. Well, let's open this up and browse it. So, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, although I count the 90s much more as my formative years. In the 80s, I was a little kid. I don't know what was going on. What I do remember is enjoying ALF with the whole family. If you don't know ALF, it stands for Alien Life Form, although his real name is Gordon Shumway, and he is from the planet Melmac. This is the first issue, $1, newsstand edition. We can pick up a little bit of the imperfections there in the camera, although it seems to be in pretty good condition besides that. There's a fold over here. But anyway, we have ALF, and here's a photo cover. I always enjoy photo covers. And then the drawn character. It's always funny to see the full-bodied ALF on the TV show because it was actually someone wearing a suit and looked a little awkward. But in the comics, it looks much better, of course. This is from 1988. I don't quite recall when ALF first debuted. I'll put it up on the screen here. But my family watched it religiously. It was so cool to see this little alien character wisecrack and try to eat cats. Now, we were a cat family, and we always thought that was really funny. So, who's the creative team? Michael Gallagher story, Dave Manak pencils, Mary Severin, cool, inks and colors, Grace Kremer letters, Sid Jacobson editor, and Tom DeFalco editor-in-chief. So very cartoony style to the human characters. I kind of love that. There's Willie. That's the only character's name I remember. Just Willie and ALF. But there's the family. They had the mom, the dad, the son, the daughter, and ALF. Oh, plus a cat as well. There's the daughter over there. So they've got a garage sale going on. They've got to hide ALF's spacecraft. So I don't recall reading the ALF comics back in the day. This was 88, so I just got into comics in 87 with Amazing Spider-Man. I keep talking about that over and over on this channel, which is the Kraven's Last Hunt. What a way to get started with comics. I was 9 years old, and here we're seeing Kraven's Last Hunt, one of those grim and gritty mature comic titles of the 80s. And so I wasn't checking out ALF in 88. Are you kidding me? I was 10 years old. Why would I be looking at ALF comics? I'm looking at Spider-Man comics. So I don't remember reading this at all, and it's really fun to look at this nostalgia-filled comic decades later. I see it's got a couple of stories in one comic. Like back in the good old days, we used to have multiple stories in one comic, completely self-contained stories in a comic, instead of nowadays that you've got to read so many issues to get the full story. It's cool to see a couple for the low price of $1. This must have been about the time that they did change the price, because when I started they were at 75 cents. I remember I was shocked when they raised the price to $1. Here's another story. Snow skin off my nose. Yes, there's a lot of bad puns in ALF, and that's why we loved them. Anyway, here's another Gallagher, Manak, and Severin joint. And this one's a snow-related adventure. Really cool expression there. Check it out. ALF Snow in a can. Yeah, sorcery. I wish I could do voices. Oh, I remember these old ads. I haven't been mentioning the ads, but of course one of the reasons I like the old comics is to browse the old ads and other material that you don't get in the collections anymore. Speaking of which, ALF isn't collected in any sort of Marvel omnibus nowadays, is it? So you gotta track down the original comics if you want to enjoy them. But the old classic Konami video games, I love these. My very first Nintendo game was Rush and Attack. So it's Rush and Attack, but it's also Russian Attack, the Ruskies. So that was an amazing game. I never passed it until years later. Castlevania Part 1, amazing. That's another one of my early games that I had. I had the Goonies 2, that was another amazing game. Took me years to pass it. All of these original Nintendo games, I never passed them until I grew up. And that's why we call it Nintendo difficult. Not like today, how it guides you through the whole game. Anyway, back to the story. I'm kind of just skipping around a little bit. There are adventures in the snow. Oh, here we go. They mention here bi-monthly from Star Comics. I don't see this is marked as or marketed as a Star comic, but this was Marvel's Young Readers imprint, Star Comics. So here we have Flintstones Kids. This is during the time when we had that influx of Flintstones Kids, Muppet Babies, a pup named Scooby-Doo, and the like. So everyone had little kid versions of their characters. Bullwinkle and Rocky. Nowadays we just basically see Rocky and Bullwinkle, right? So Bullwinkle got top billing on that one. It's the fantastic return of Bullwinkle and Rocky. It's a sewer thing. That's really reaching to say it's a sure thing. I don't think anyone in the world says sure and sewer exactly like that, so this joke doesn't work. Mr. Peabody's not amused. Oh, here we got a third story. 3 stories for the price of $1. Amazing. Those were the good old days. So here we have a recollection of ALF being back on Melmac with his girlfriend. I remember her. She was so cute. I loved her hair and their outfits. And what was her name again? Oh yeah, Rhonda. Rhonda was his girlfriend at the time, back on Melmac. Star Signals. Meet superstar George Caragone. So he's a writer. This is a Marvel comic after all, so they have the sort of bullpen bulletins and the like, which they always did about getting to know the creators with you, the readers, so you can really relate to the comics and keep subscribing. So what else do we have here? Masters of the Universe number 12. I always just called it He-Man. Heathcliff number 6. Thundercats number 21. That was an amazing TV show. Definitely that animation still holds up 35 years later. Air Raiders number question mark? What's that about? There must be some interesting history there. Muppet Babies number 18, Visionaries number 3, I don't remember what that is. Rocky and they mentioned Rocky and Bullwinkle here, but it's Bullwinkle and Rocky there. Care Bears number 15, I loved that show. The Care Bears movie really had me shook back in the day. And ALF number 1. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade featuring Spider-Man and Wolverine, amazing. So you can obviously pause this and read the story on your own. Oh yes, we had Captain Power. I had that, it was amazing. You watched the TV show with really bad CGI. You had your ship, which you would press the button and fire at the TV. And then if the laser matched up with a certain spot on the TV, you got points or something. And then if they shot back at you, it would register with the photons that you got blasted. And then if you get hit 3 times or whatever, your cockpit would eject. Your Captain Power character, make it fly across the room and poke Timmy's eye out, so it was amazing. Don't just stand there, fire back! It was so interactive and so cool. The 80s. And then we're back to the present time, and it all ties together. Once again, pause it, go back on the video, read it yourself to enjoy an ALF story. And we end up with the subscriptions. You can get 9 issues for $6.75. Silverhawks. Madballs had a comic, I don't even remember that. And yep, that's how subscriptions were at the time. They'd fold it in half and shove it in your mailbox. There you go, kid, enjoy your comic. And here we have a Casio keyboard. If you know these colors, you already know how to play. Let me see, that is blue and red, so epic fail. Back cover is Party. If Party Popple picked a peck of Popple pals, who'd be the new perky playful pals Party Popple picked? Yep, the classic limerick. New sports balls, baby popples, rock stars, puffalelo popples. I don't remember these characters at all, but they look like a big ripoff of Care Bears. The 80s. So there we go, that's the comic I picked up this time around. In my comic book mail call, ALF number 1. I forgot to mention also newsstand edition is in 1988, so the newsstand editions are actually the slightly more rare comics. The direct edition are the more common ones, so pro tip, before 1985, you want the direct edition, the comic shop editions. After 1985, you want the newsstand editions. That's the easy pro tip there. And in the light, I'm seeing more of the jabs that this cover has, but when you look at it in most angles, it looks perfectly fine. If you enjoyed this video and my other comic book videos, consider pressing the join button right here in YouTube. At $1 a month, you'll keep me funded, you'll keep me motivated, and you'll show your favorite content creators that you like their stuff. Every dollar helps, literally. If you can't quite pledge at the moment, no worries. Simply like, comment, share, subscribe, Ring the bell, battle the Minotaur, do all that good stuff. And I mean it, ring that bell. YouTube tells me that there's only 10% of you that have rung my bell. So please do so. If you don't do it for me, do it for Gordon Shumway. Come back for more comic book videos week after week. And if you really like them, consider pressing the join button. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you on Melmac.